Okay, so cancer, right. Not exactly the most uplifting topic for a deep dive. But it is uplifting. Getting a handle on how this whole thing actually works at the cellular level.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of mind-blowing when you think about the sheer complexity of what's happening in our bodies all the time.
It's true, and that's why we're diving into this report today from the World Cancer Research Fund Network. They've got some really insightful stuff on how cancer actually develops.
And they start, which I think is really smart, by breaking down normal cell function.
Because you can't understand what's going wrong without knowing how things are supposed to work, right? Like,
Yeah.
if a cell is this bustling
Right. I
city,
was just about to say that.
the DNA is like the master plan, right?
Exactly. The DNA holds all the genetic information, the instructions for everything going on in that city, how it functions, how it grows.
And just like with the city, if the blueprints get messed up, you're in trouble, right?
Oh, absolutely. And that's what's so fascinating and honestly kind of terrifying about cancer. It all comes down to errors in these usually super tightly regulated processes.
Like our bodies are constantly generating new cells, right?
Kind of
And each time a cell divides, the DNA has to be replicated.
think about it. Every time a cell divides, it's like copying a massive, complicated instruction manual by hand. Typos are bound to happen, right?
It's amazing that more of us aren't walking around with like extra toes or something.
Right. Luckily, our cells have evolved these amazing proofreading mechanisms to catch those typos.
Oh, right, the DNA repair mechanism. So it's like we've got these tiny little editors running around in our cells making sure everything's copied correctly.
Precisely. They're constantly scanning for and fixing errors in the DNA. But just like a human editor, they're not perfect. Sometimes errors slip through or the repair mechanisms themselves get damaged.
And on top of that, there are all these external factors that can mess things up, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Things like exposure to UV radiation, certain chemicals, even what we eat, can actually damage our DNA.
It's crazy to think that our everyday choices could be introducing typos into our cellular instruction manual.
It's true, and it highlights something really important. It's not just about inheriting a faulty blueprint. While our genes definitely lay the groundwork, our environment and our choices play a huge role in how those genes are expressed.
So it's like we might inherit the map, so to speak, but then we get to choose the route and even decide if we want to take a detour or two.
I like that analogy. It's not just about the genes we inherit, but how those genes actually behave in our bodies.
Mm.
And that's where things get really interesting. And it brings us to one of the core concepts in cancer research, the hallmarks of cancer.
Okay, so I've heard that term before, hallmarks of cancer, but to be honest, I'm a little fuzzy on what it actually means.
It's really about understanding what makes cancer cells different from normal cells. These hallmarks are the acquired capabilities that allow cancer cells to essentially break free from the body's normal regulatory mechanisms.
So if a normal cell is a well-run city, a cancer cell is like, what, Gotham City with like no rules.
Okay, I love that. Yeah, exactly. The hallmarks are like the strategies these rebel cells use to take over. One of the most well-known is sustained proliferative signaling.
Sustained. Okay, so in plain English, what does that actually mean?
Basically, it means these cells lose control of their growth and division. In a normal city, you've got systems to regulate how much things grow, right? You wouldn't just keep throwing up skyscrapers with no plan.
Hmm.
But cancer cells, they disregard those regulations. They just keep multiplying uncontrollably, even when there's no need for new cells.
Wow, so it's like a city with no zoning laws at all, just buildings going up everywhere, complete chaos.
And that chaos throws everything out of balance.
Which I'm guessing is a recipe for disaster. Speaking of recipes for disaster, we were talking about those external factors that can damage DNA.
Right, right.
What are some of the things that can actually make cancer more likely? I know our report here highlights things like body fatness, diet, and how physically active we are. What's the connection there?
Yeah, it's like dumping gasoline on an already burning fire.
Okay, ouch. That's a scary thought.
Yeah, well, increased body fat is linked to all these things that can really create a fertile environment for cancer to develop. Chronic inflammation, hormonal imbalances. It's like all these little changes that, when they add up, can really tip the scales in the wrong direction.
And that's just body fatness, right? We were talking about how what we eat can even affect our cells' ability to repair damage.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's like, imagine your DNA repair crew showing up to a job with, like, duct tape and paper clips instead of the right tools. you know.
Not exactly a recipe for success.
No, not at all. Certain nutrients are absolutely crucial for those DNA repair mechanisms to work properly.
Yeah.
Like folate, for example, that's a big one.
So we got to make sure we're getting enough of those essential nutrients. Otherwise, those repair crews are going to be up a creek without a paddle.
Exactly. And then it's not just what we're not eating enough of either. Some foods can actually make it harder for our bodies to get rid of carcinogens, the stuff that can actually cause the damage in the first place.
Yeah, that was something I remember reading about in the report, too.
Things like red and processed meats.
Mm-hmm.
The report talked about how cooking those at really high temperatures like grilling or barbecuing can create compounds that have actually been linked to cancer.
So that perfectly charred burger, the one everyone loves, maybe not so good for those cellular instruction manuals after all.
Right. And it just goes to show you that even choices that seem, small or harmless can actually have a real impact at that cellular level. And it's not just about food, of course. Physical activity, or rather the lack of it, plays a big role too.
Yeah, I was wondering when we were going to get to that. I know exercise is like the magic bullet for so many things, but how does it tie into everything we're talking about with our cells?
Well, think of it this way. When you're physically active, it's like giving your cells a good tune-up. It helps keep all those internal systems running smoothly, including those DNA repair mechanisms we were talking about.
Okay, so it's like sending in the repair crew with all the best equipment, making sure they're well rested and ready to go.
Exactly. Plus, it helps keep those hormones balanced and reduces inflammation, all things that can get a little out of whack when we're, not moving enough.
And that, I'm guessing, makes it less likely those cancer cells are going to be able to sneak in and set up shop. What's striking to me is how much control we actually have over all of this. It's not just about our genes.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really empowering message. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by everything we know about cancer, but when it comes down to it, it's really about our choices. We're not just sitting ducks here.
I like that we're not sitting ducks. So we're not just talking about avoiding things. We're also talking about what we can do to actually help our bodies protect themselves.
Yeah, 100%.
So if we're looking for like a big picture takeaway from everything we've talked about today, what would you say is the most important thing for people to remember?
I think the biggest thing is this. Yes, cancer is incredibly complex. There's so much going on there. It can make your head spin. But at the end of the day, our choices play a huge role. What we eat, how much we move, all of that has a real impact on our risk.
It's about making choices that support our health rather than, sabotage it. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about what cancer is, how it develops. What are your final thoughts? Where do we go from here?
Damn it, that's a good way to put it. Supporting our health instead of accidentally making things harder for ourselves.
Exactly. And, it makes you think twice about some of those choices we make every day. Like, that burger might sound good right now, but is it really worth messing with your cells like that?
Makes you think long term, for sure.
Yeah.
So where does this all leave us? If someone's listening to this and they're maybe feeling a little overwhelmed by everything we've talked about, what's the one thing you hope they take away from this deep dive? That's a good question. I think the most important thing to remember is that even though cancer is incredibly complex, we've just scratched the surface here. So much of it comes down to things we can control, what we choose to eat, how much we move our bodies. Those daily choices have a ripple effect. They really do impact our cells in a big way.
It's like we've been given the keys to this amazing, intricate machine, our bodies, and we're finally starting to understand not just how it works, but how to take care of it.
That's a great way to put it. And the more we learn about how our choices impact what's happening at the cellular level, the better equipped we are to make decisions that support our health, not just today, but for years to come.
This has been a fascinating deep dive. Thanks for joining me today. This has been really eye-opening.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And to everyone listening, here's to making informed choices and to supporting these amazing, resilient bodies of ours.